So the fall riding's about done for Gabriella here, my 750 Shiver, 2009 Aprilia. And one of the things we're going to do is we're going to put some ethanol-free gas in it. And it just basically keeps the fuel from attaching itself to moisture and gelling up in the fuel system. Alcohol also turns corrosive after it sits a little while. And it's just not great for storing vehicles. So one of my first steps to winterizing this bike is going to be putting an ethanol-free fuel in it. If you haven't seen my Gary Sinise fundraiser page, take a look in the description section of this video, and there'll be a link to my Gary Sinise Facebook fundraiser page, as well as the Gary Sinise Foundation's page. The fundraiser benefits veterans and first responders. So click that like and subscribe button and click the bell to receive notifications of any new videos. Just because it's going to help out, help that charity along and raise some money. We're raising some awareness of that charity. Most people aren't real familiar with that foundation, and that's kind of one of the reasons I picked them, is bringing some awareness to it. It's such a worthwhile organization. It's Charity Watch A-rated, so the money you donate goes to the cause at hand. Ah, Mr. Squirrel, get out of the road! Okay, we've got our Rec 90 fuel, and so now it's time to think about the oil on this bike. Oil's got 2 years on it, which is definitely plenty. It's around, I think I've got around 5,400 miles on this oil, which Aprilia says we can go a lot longer than that. Doesn't give a length of time. I've used to, remember the whole thing with cars, every 3,000 miles or 90 days or 6 months, or, oil doesn't go bad generally just from sitting. I'm not saying that I would want to use a 10-year-old quart of oil, but a year or two isn't going to hurt a quart of oil sitting around for sure. And so we're going to get that oil changed when we get home. The engine's nice and warm. We've been riding it for, I've been out riding an hour and a half, somewhere in that neighborhood. Enough to get the cold across my body of the fall. The simple only thing we really need to do to winterize this bike this year is an oil change, and we're of course going to do some chain maintenance on it. We're going to just lubricate the chain. The chain was cleaned fairly recently, so just a re-lubrication on the chain. Give her a little wrist there. And once we get that oil change done, we're really ready for to put it away for the winter with the alcohol-free fuel. I'm going to also use a stabilizer in the gas tank. I like to use Marine Stabil 360, and it's basically known as one of the better for moisture. So that's why I use a Marine Stabil. And all you're really trying to do is keep moisture away. Okay, so we've got our alcohol-free fuel placed in the tank. I filled it up. Now this may not be the last time I ride this bike, because I want to go out and heat cycle that engine one more time. So we may go back and top it off again. I might go for a nice 20, 30, 40 mile ride on it, just to heat cycle that oil well once. Oil needs to be heated at least a couple times really before it reaches its maximum
lubricity. It gets slipperier.
And of course you're going to need an oil filter, a new crush washer. I have a few extras here. Some way of getting your oil filter off. Of course the old cap wrench is a favorite with a lot of people, but I don't really like them. They tend to slip. I use oil filter pliers. They're universal. They work on every vehicle pretty much. You might have a weird car that might need a cap style wrench because you have clearance issues with the pliers, but as a whole, and then you're going to need a wrench. So a very basic set of tools to do your own oil changes. I don't understand people taking them to the dealership because it's such a simple thing to do on your own. Saves you a lot of money. And then, of course, a catch can. As far as oil goes, this bike calls for 3.1 quarts of 15W50 AGIP, which is now any oil, which isn't real available in the US. You can mail order it. I mail order my oil, but the oil I found that I like is Maxima Pro Plus 20W50. And I'm not saying that this is the greatest oil. We're going to find out exactly how good of an oil this is. Because we're going to take a sample of this for the purpose of sending in for an analysis. I've got my oil sample kit, and that's for testing the oil in this to get an analysis of what contaminants are in the oil and seeing if it is shearing, if it is breaking this oil down. Paddock stand is one of the simplest tools to use to lift a bike. That's why they put them on race bikes. But simply you have a spool down here, and it just simply hooks onto the spool on either side. Rock it up to its center, push down on your stand, and boom. You're now center supported. We can service the chain. We can service the oil. And I'm just prepping my sample bottle. So when we release this oil out of there, I am ready to take a sample. And there she flows. And you got your can. You want to catch this mid-flow. Some paper towels and rags are also a necessity to do an oil change. You always have a little spill. You can see why I put down cardboard. We're going to let that drip for a little while. Of course, the engine is warm. We just got back from a ride. It's always best to do this after you've warmed it up. And we're going to clean our drain plug. There's a little magnet on the end of it that's supposed to catch any metal shavings. There's a little black stuff on there. We're putting the new crush washer on. And we'll just let it drip for a couple more minutes here. So now that that's adequately drained, we're going to put a new crush washer on our drain plug. And we're going to reinstall that. Just make sure we aren't cross-threading it. Just a simple little tightening, that's it. Do not go nuts tightening a drain plug. If you do, you will strip out these aluminum engine cases. So about a quarter churn once it's seated is all you need. So we're just going to grab a hold of that with the old pliers here. And any which way I can grab a direction on it because it shouldn't be on there. Yeah. This was put on here about hand tight and that was it. As far as oil filters go, I'm going right back with the factory original on it. A new factory original filter is spec'd out to your engine. If it has a bypass valve in it, it is set to a certain poundage, certain PSI of pressure when it bypasses. But the filtration was designed for specifically Aprilia motorcycles. Also, that same filter is used on some Moto Guzzi's. You can actually substitute out a Briggs & Stratton oil filter on this. High flow Filtro makes an oil filter for it. If these become unavailable, I'll probably put a high flow filtro on it. Everybody says that that's a really good quality filter, and I don't think I'd have a problem putting that on this bike and operating it with it. It seems to be a top quality manufacturer. I'm sticking with what's spec because this filter is only $1 more than a high flow filtro. So for that $1, I would rather have the peace of mind that I'm putting the right filter back on it. And as that's draining, I'm prepping this filter for installation. Prepping your filter is a very simple thing. So here's our fresh motor oil. Here I'm just going to dip a finger in it. And I'm going to get some nice clean oil. And I'm just
buttering up that seal with nice, fresh, clean motor oil.
And we're going to install our new oil filter. And she just spins right on just like that. From the point it's hand tight, quarter turn is a good rule of thumb. And that should be plenty right there. So now our oil is changed out. We're going to fill up the crankcase. Now we're filling it up to the point of where it's in that sight window. And it's right at the full mark.
It's time for chain lubrication.
Now I cleaned this chain maybe a couple 100 miles ago. I applied chain paste to it. It's basically just needing lubrication. It's not real dry. It's just dry enough to apply, needing an application. I'm going to just basically feel how that feels on the sprocket. I'm looking for wear on it. I'm going to rotate. And I want to look at the pins on it, the rollers. This is just a wear inspection more than anything else I'm just doing. Now, because that's one of the more expensive components that regularly needs to be replaced on a motorcycle, you can get I've heard of people getting 25,000 miles out of a chain. How do you get that many miles? And that's maintenance, taking care of that chain. If you don't maintain that chain, you could probably need a replacement within 5,000 miles. Now, normally I've been using Motul chain paste, and when it's hot out, it's a little thicker. It's like a light grease. Kind of looks like a lithium grease or something like that, and that's probably mainly what it is. But it seems to hold on to it real well. When it's cooler out, I generally use just plain old gear lube. A bottle of that will last you literally forever as chain lubricant. I put it in a little container with a paintbrush, and I'm just painting it onto the chain. I'm going to do the outside and the inside.
Paint a little, rotate some. Paint a little, rotate some.
Every once in a while, give her another dip, and it's a nice thick lubricant. It doesn't fling horribly. But it will fling off the chain. All lubricants will fling off the chain. The lube really helps the O-rings. More than anything else, it's lubricating the O-rings and keeping those O-rings from wearing. And when the O-ring fails, it allows the lubricant inside of the chain, inside between the pins and the rollers, to escape. And when that escapes, the chain is very limited for life from that point out. Now I'm doing the outsides of the plates. The only thing this does is keeps it from rusting, those plates from rusting on the outside. So it's more for aesthetics than anything else. A little rust on the outside of those plates really shouldn't compromise the structure of this chain whatsoever. But I also tend to over-maintain certain things. So it's going to get a light coat of oil on it, and that's just a preventative for rust. This is the important stuff is in here. And it should have some flow characteristics. So it really probably finds its way there. But just to be on the safe side, we're going to, of course, paint it. That inside of the chain is always the hardest part. So the lubricant is evenly distributed on that chain. And wipe my brush off. And that's that on the chains. Thank you for sticking with me while we did our winterization on my Aprilia Shiver 750 here, Gabriella. And it's ready to actually go to sleep for the winter. We could actually do a couple more things to it. We're still going to ride it one more time. I want to circulate, heat cycle that motor oil one time. That's just being overly picky. The truth is, I fired it up, I circulated it through the engine. It's probably enough to store it. You know, some people want to do their oil change in the spring, some in the fall. I'd rather store it with clean oil. We're going to send that sample into Blackstone Labs, see what kind of results we get back on that. We're going to do a video on that Blackstone results. If you haven't had a chance to click the like and subscribe button, take the time to do that. Make sure you click the bell too to receive notifications of new videos as they're released. And if you haven't had a chance to get to my Gary Sinise Foundation fundraiser page, definitely take that opportunity to go to that fundraiser, take a look at it. If you can kick up $1 or $2, I definitely would appreciate it to help those veterans and first responders along and my fundraising goal. And we're looking to get 100 subscribers, and we're at 50 right now, so all those subscriptions are greatly appreciated to all the people that have subscribed and watch my videos. Now we have Gabriella all tidied up for the winter. It's time to put her to bed, kiss her goodnight, and we'll see her in the spring. Thank you for sticking with me while we winterize this motorcycle. Click the like, subscribe button and the bell to receive notifications of new videos as they come out. Thank you for viewing. Get out there and ride today. It's a great day for it.